All right, so we're dealing with our last major lesson for this unit about equations. And what we're going to deal with this time is when we have x on both sides of the equation. So as you can see in this equation I've written right here, there's a 5x over here, but there's also 3x on this side. So we have x on both sides of the equation. So the very first thing I want you to understand, eventually, our goal is to make the equation look like this. Something where there's x on one side and numbers on the other side. With that in mind, our same basic idea applies where we're trying to get away everything that's with the x. So let's just look at the left side first. If I just look at this, we notice, okay, we got the 5 and we got the 10 that we got to deal with. I think the easiest way is just like before, we try to get rid of whatever is being added or subtracted from your x. So to get rid of that 10, I have to do the opposite, which is subtract 10, and I need to do it to both sides. So when I do that, I'm going to get 5x is equal to 3x plus 30. Cool. So now I know that this side's pretty good because it just has 5x. I have to get rid of that 5. Now, I want to show you what the wrong step would be. Before, what we tried to do is we said, oh, well, let's divide by 5. The problem with this is that when we divide by 5 on both sides, sure, this is going to be just an x. That's okay. This is going to end up being 0.6x, and this is going to end up being 6. So the problem is we still have this 0.6x, which doesn't really help us out. So what I'm going to actually suggest is that before you do that, we deal with the double x. So we know that dividing won't work because when we divide, we get rid of the number. So like if we said, oh, let's divide by 3, it would cancel out the 3. We'd still be left with that x. So what we have to do is we have to actually get rid of the entire thing by itself. And the way we do that is subtraction. So it was plus 3x. So the opposite is going to be minus 3x. Now, this is different from what we've done before. This is going to get rid of the x entirely from one side, which is what we want to do. So when we subtract 3x from that side, let's try it on this side as well. We'll be left with 2x is equal to, these cancel out, just 30. So now we're at a pretty good spot because this side has x's, this side does not. So now I just need to get rid of this number that's with the x, the coefficient. So to do that, I'm going to divide because it's multiply right now, divide by 2, and we're going to end up with x equals 15. That's it. So we first got rid of the numbers that were with the x. Then we subtracted away one of the x's. In this case, we did the right side. We could have done the left side too, and it would have worked. And then we got rid of whatever numbers were left with the x, in this case dividing, and we got our final answer. Let's do one more, make sure it all makes sense. Okay. So again, in this case, we have a y on both sides. That's no good. So let's start by getting rid of the number that's being added or subtracted. So we have minus 6. First, let me just change color of this really quick. Blue. Okay. So let's get rid of this 6. It's minus 6. So I'm actually going to plus 6 to both sides. So when I do that, I'm going to be left with 2y. This is going to end up being, careful with my negatives, it's going to be negative 8. Okay, minus 8y. So now I need to get rid of this negative 8y. To get rid of negative 8y, I have to do the opposite, which is plus 8y. I'm going to do it to both sides. Okay, and I'm going to get 10y over here, and this is still going to be negative 8. Cool. Now the last step, I just have to get rid of that coefficient, that number that's with the y. To do that, I'm going to divide. Sorry, I usually do that in red. Divide both sides by 10. Okay, so this is going to cancel out and leave me with just y. This side's going to, you could leave it as a fraction. If we make it a decimal, it's going to be negative 0.8. Remember, we still have that negative there, and that's our final answer. I want to show you one more really quick, just to show you that the y doesn't always have to be on the left side. Let's redo this question. Okay, we'll put it right here. But instead, let's put all the numbers onto the left side. Sorry, my pen's being weird. So let's put all the numbers onto this side, and let's put all the y's onto this side. Again, it doesn't really matter which way you do it. I'm just showing you that it works both ways. So let's get rid of this 14. So to get rid of that 14, I'm going to plus 14 on both sides. That's going to give me 2y plus, what's that? 8 equals negative 8y. Cool. Now I need to get rid of this 2y, so I subtract it. So you get 8 equals negative 10y. Now I need to divide by negative 10 to get rid of it. And that's going to leave you with negative 0.8y. So as you can see, we ended up getting the exact same answer for both questions, both situations. We just did it a little bit different. It doesn't matter which way you set it up. It'll work. The other thing that doesn't really matter is that you don't have to get rid of the numbers first. You can divide first if you want, or subtract first if you want. The order of the steps isn't a big deal as long as you remember to do your steps properly. And that's it.